Hello. Yes, it's Wednesday again and we are live. Welcome to episode 16 of Spilling the Green Beans, my weekly live gardening show. Where I share with you my green secrets to inspire you to start growing your own vegetables. I am your host, Emily, creator of Easy Urban Gardening, the system for growing your own vegetables on a balcony or terrace in town. Thank you for spending time with me today when I talk about your summer garden. Growing vegetables can seem daunting and hard work, but I share with you my green secrets, the most crucial techniques to make it fun and easy. You'll also learn how to take advantage of the broad health benefits of gardening and how to cook delicious meals with your own vegetables. I am spilling the green beans. And before I really dive into today's episode, I want to share with you that if you would like to garden together with me, it's not too late to join my summer and autumn garden program. Here I guide you through the season until the end of September, making sure you get the most out of your garden. I help you perfecting your planning, tell you everything about sowing and growing techniques. I guide you through the tomato jungle. We talk about how to best harvest and of course what to do with your amazing harvest. And it's absolutely not too late. Don't forget, I think I told you already once before, don't forget, I started my first garden in September and I was able to harvest over winter. So the system Easy Urban Gardening can be applied to every location in town and it can be started any month, almost any month of the year, but definitely every month over spring, summer, and autumn. So the program is you get 6 amazing workbooks with lots of information and amazing worksheets. And you have 6 50 minutes long sessions with me to dive deep into your personal situation, ask all your questions, and tackle any challenge that Mother Nature throws at you. Of course, it comes with a ton of motivation and inspiration from my side too. So for more details and to book a complimentary discovery call, you'll find the link in the show notes. And I would love meeting you and discuss whether working together would be a good next step for you. Remember, the call doesn't oblige you to anything. It's absolutely complimentary just to figure out whether you like me and I can help you. And if not, just as best friends as we are. But if you want to find out what I can do for you and what that would mean for your personal situation, just go to the website as you find the link in the show notes and book that call. Okay, now let's have a look for this week. Last week I spoke about peas. It was another vegetable episode, but today we're going to go back to the real gardening and we talk about preparing your garden for summer. So that is about a lot more than sowing or planting your summer vegetables. So this episode is actually about those other things like watering, holidays, and bees. Yes, I'm going to talk bee. But let's start talking water. Gardening in town on a sunny balcony or terrace can be very hot and almost scorching in summer. You can see behind me, I am on one of those rooftop terraces and there is no shade. There is lots of sun. And even like in early spring, temperatures are almost like summer here already. Of course, due to the time of year, spring, night temperatures still go down. But daytime temperatures, when the sun is out like this with not a single cloud on the skies, or at least not there where the sun is, it gets hot quickly. So obviously your plants need regular watering, especially in the really hot summer months. But just opening the hose twice a day is not the best solution. It might sound easy, but it actually doesn't do the job really. And that's mainly because it's very wasteful, and it doesn't give as much water to your plants as it seems. So you're better off with watering in a more careful way. So what do I mean by that? I mean that you best water your garden any time of the year, actually, with a big bucket of water and a cup. And in this way, you can be very precise. You only water the plants that are really thirsty. You only water where it is needed, which is close to the ground on the roots, and with the best speed, as you can control the flow. So the water gets really soaked up by the soil instead of flowing so quickly that it immediately kind of like drains through. So this technique actually applies to every season, every month, and every day in an easy urban garden. But yes, in summer, your garden might need a bit more, which actually just means you do this ritual twice a day. As I said to you, my garden is like scorching hot. It's a south-facing rooftop terrace, no shade, and I water my plants every morning and every late afternoon or early evening during the hottest days in summer. And I am totally convinced that while my plants are thriving, I am using a lot less water than people that just put the hose on their gardens. But of course, summer is not only hot when you are at home. It's also the period of time when many of us go on holidays. So now what to do then? Well, depending on your personal situation, like how big your garden is, how many gardens you have, and how sunny your balcony or terrace is, you have a few options. If it's a really short break and your terrace is not like in the sun from, like mine, from 9 a.m. till 7 p.m. in summer, but maybe has early sun until say 2 p.m. or something, or the sun doesn't come to your balcony until noon. And that's if that's the situation for you and you are going on a short break, you probably don't need to do much. I mean, we have this amazing soil mixture with the vermiculite in it, so you don't really have to worry too much about a day or two, three, maybe even 4. You don't have to worry too much about watering. Of course, that is different if you go on a 2 or 3 weeks holidays. Then the first, and in my opinion, absolutely best option is to find a gardening and vegetable loving neighbor who is willing to hop in daily and water your plants, kind of like in exchange for the ready harvest. Yes, really do offer your watering neighbor to harvest anything that is ready, because that's actually best for all parties. First, it's a very nice gesture towards your neighbor. Huh? But second, you don't want to come home to an overload of ready to harvest veggies. And finally, it is better for your harvest in the long run, as we know by now, plants keep growing produce when the fruits, pods, or biggest leaves are regularly harvested. So actually you extend your harvest over a longer period of time if you don't skip harvesting on the height of the season just because you're on holidays. Of course, there's another option for the holiday period, and that is an automated drip system. You can buy these from different gardening equipment brands, and most of them are very easy to install. You just have to remember they give quite a lot of water, as they're originally designed for hedges and bushes, etc. So my experience is that watering your easy urban gardens with these systems that are connected to your water tap is best done for very short periods of time, multiple times per day. But luckily, you can get them with the little clock, kind of like computer clock, and program it exactly as you'd like. So you can completely program the periods of watering. So you might want to have a little pre-run before you go on holidays to figure out how your garden thrives. You may want to start with my schedule, which is like 5 minutes, really early morning. So sometimes, I program it like on 4:30 a.m. Then I'm talking now about, and then I do another 5 minutes in the late afternoon. Or, no, sorry, I do another 5 minutes like at night, like 10 p.m. or something like that. If I am dealing with a heat wave, which is not so uncommon anymore in Switzerland, where I live. So if I have like a week or 10 days or 14 days of like 30 plus degrees Celsius, I might squeeze in another 2 or 3 minutes in the late afternoon. So say around 5-ish. And this might sound very little, but you have to remember that with the average drip head, you give your plants roughly between 300 and 500 milliliters of water per plant. So if you have a garden of 8, that's quite an amount of water in your garden. And as you now can't control the water being given only to the plants that need it, your garden in total gets probably around the same amount or even maybe a little bit more than when you'd water yourself with a cup. But that is okay for a holidays period. That's fine. You might have a little bit more dripping underneath your garden, like water flowing away, than you would have with watering yourself with a cup. But then on the other hand, it's always better than coming back from your holidays to dead garden. Of course, you can also go as sophisticated as to a system with adjustable drip heads. And then you can write down and then you can kind of like journal yourself a little bit about your garden and write down which vegetables in your garden or in your different gardens need more water than the others. So say 3 weeks or something before you go on holidays, you write down which squares with which vegetables you water daily when you water with your cup and you only water the plants that need it, which plants you might maybe water only every other day, or maybe there are even plants that if you go a little bit later in the season, you might even have plants that need only water 2 or 3 times a week. So write that down, and then you can adjust those drip heads to differentiate the amount given per square. I know that's very sophisticated and maybe a little bit OTT, depending on how far you are in your garden, how much access you have to neighbors in that period. If everybody in your surroundings kind of has children in the same age group as yours, you might all be on holidays in the same period, on the same time of the year. So then it might be a little bit more difficult to find a neighbor to do it. And then to go over the period of 3 weeks without anybody looking after your garden might be a bit too much. So then this might be an option. The adjustable drip heads aren't really necessary. I know it works with non-adjustable drip heads as well because I tried it myself. But honestly, I found it very easy to find willing neighbors so far. Maybe that's also because we never go on holidays on the height of the school holiday period. But still, my neighbors love my garden. And when we go on a longer holiday, I often ask 2 of them who know each other. And then they can divide the time they spend in my garden. And they can also divide the harvest, of course. Okay, then the last topic I want to address today is bees. When having a vegetable garden, you should do everything you can to attract as many pollinators as possible. I mean, pollinating the courgette and pumpkins yourself is okay, doable, and you might have to do it if you don't have that many bees yet, but left, right, or center, bees just do a better job than you do. And even self-pollinating plants grow better fruits if they are cross-pollinated by bees, bumblebees, etc. So what can you do? You can get a bee home. Maybe even through an organization like Wild Bees and Partners here in Switzerland. Maybe Google a little bit. They do something special. You don't just buy the bee home from them. You know, the little wooden, almost like a bird home, but then for bees, of course. The little wooden thing with the tubes and some other things that you can buy it at any garden center. But what they do is that you actually get a membership with them, and that includes a fresh starter population of wild solitary living bees. Plus, every year you can have your home checked over winter to see what other bees are nesting in there. They check it also for possible invaders and remove them. Plus, they harvest the pupae of the wild bees to move into new homes to pollinate fruit orchards in our area. And in spring, you get your clean home sent back, plus a fresh starter population of the wild bees to kind of like, start the circle all over again. So I think that is a really nice thing because, of course, if your bee home is in a good place, you will kind of like grow the population out every year. So I think the fact that I sent it back to them and they take out the overflow of bees living in my home to actually fill new homes, and also not only for consumers like myself, but also for B2B homes, like the hives that they actually move to the fruit farmers. So I think that's a really nice system. So look if there is anything like that maybe in your area or where you are living, your country as well. If not, then at least go and get the bee home from the garden center. It might just take a little bit more time before it's really occupied. But then having a house for your bees is not enough, because you have to make your garden their home. And you can do that not only by having as much variety as possible amongst your vegetables, but also adding some flowers. So the best way is a mix of edible flowers for you and the bees, and some flowers specifically for the bees. So good edible flowers are calendula or nasturtium that are easy to grow in a vegetable garden. And of course your herbs that you can always allow to partly flower. So my herbs, I always have my herbs flowering, but that doesn't mean that there isn't enough leaves or stems without a flower that I can harvest for my own consumption. And if you think about herbs that I experienced bees absolutely love, you have to think about borage, oregano, rosemary, thyme, lavender, and chives. They are easy. I mean, they almost always flower, and the bees absolutely love them. And then when choosing the additional flowers, like the flowers specifically for your bees, you have to realize that the filled flowers, the more round they look, the more they are designed for the human eye. They are not the original version of that flower, which is mostly liked by bees. So plant as many open flowers as possible. And every good garden center or seeds producer have amazing mixtures of plant collections or seed collections specifically for wild bees. So just have a look and pick some variety that appeals to you. I have been planting my little bee variety today. I started This is also something that I get from the Wilsbiene and Partners organization, or a company here in Switzerland. They call it the bee snack package. It's like 6 little of these little plants that are amazing, specifically found amazing by wild bees. So I get these in spring, and I have been planting the first 12 just before I went live to chat with you, and the second 12 are going to go in when this show is over. But I wanted to show you, look, I have all sorts of them. I have something like, let me have a quick look, because you get a beautiful booklet to go with it. It even tells you, the different bees that are common in my area. So I can go and look out for them and see whether I can recognize them and distinguish them. I have no idea, but I'm good with vegetables, but the rest is not so my thing. And then you get, actually, they have 16. So I now have 16 different flowers that are known for being good for bees and attracting bees. So you go have a look and buy a variety that appeals to you. Maybe even buy a variety, some plants and some seeds, because in some seeds packages there are flowers that are just not really transplantable. So they can't really come in these little transplantable plants. You really have to sow them. So thank you for spending time with me in the garden, and I hope to meet you in your garden soon. Did you enjoy this episode of Spilling the Green Beans? Then please share, subscribe, and give a review so more people can enjoy the show. I see you in next week's episode, which is about sowing techniques, when I talk about how to sow as efficient and productive as possible in your easy urban garden. I see you next week. Bye.